All right. Oh, and I don't even have the light on. Okay, well, that's good. Here we go. All right, give me this. Give me that. This, that. There we go. All right, I think we're live now, and I think I'm done with all my madness. Hello and welcome to another special live episode of the Smokin Hot Toddcast. I'm Hot Toddy, and well, it's good to be here. Obviously, some weird things have gone down. As I told you last night, because originally we had this a live episode planned for last night, which was Saturday the 20th, and unfortunately something came up, and we were not able to do the show last night. I don't want to get too much into it because it is a private matter. Just know that everybody, all the Toddcast team members are perfectly fine. Everything is fine with them. But one of the Toddcast members did have a family tragedy come down recently, and like I said, I don't want to get into it. It is their business if they want to speak about it in a later episode or something like that. But because of that situation, it just was not. We couldn't continue. We couldn't continue with the fun night that we had planned, laughing and being silly when something horrible like this happened. So what we were going to do is we were going to watch another bad movie. And I'm not going to reveal what the bad movie was because we will definitely watch it in the future. So I don't want to give you any hints about it. But yeah, we were going to watch another bad film, and I was going to I was making everybody suffer through it, and I thought it was going to be very entertaining. But yeah, unfortunately, things happened, and so we were not able to. But we're going to persevere tonight because, as I was telling Miss Pingrino, like if this was just like a special summer episode, we could bypass it and it not be a big deal. But this is episode 3 of season 12. This is the third episode of the new season, so we didn't want to just get rid of it or try to make it up at a later date. I don't want to have to deal. I don't want to figure that out, and I didn't want to mix up the amount of episodes that I had planned for this season, because we always have a planned amount every season, and I didn't want to change that. So I said, okay, well, let me just go live solo on Sunday night, the 21st, and so now here we are, live on September 21st, 2025, with season 12, episode 3 of the Smokin Hot Toddcast, which is called From the Deck, episode 5. Yes, that's right. So what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to do things a little differently, because I didn't know what I was going to do on this episode because of the fact that we had something planned already. It fell through. I was like, well, what's a backup that I could do? I thought about it, and I'm like, I have nothing. But then if I thought about it again, wait, I have everything. Why? Because of these little things right here. That is right. Pod decks, episode decks. This is courtesy of. Actually, I think Pod Decks is the group. So I've had these for about 6 years now, and we've only done a handful of episodes featuring the deck. But what they are is they are episode theme ideas, episode topic ideas for podcasts, and we've done a few of them in the past. We even did a live version of this once. I want to say it was in season 7, season 8. I'm not sure. It's been a while. 2021, whenever that was. I remember the year, but I don't remember the exact season. But we did a live version of it, and it was fun. We did multiple topics, whereas the regular podcast version of those episodes, we just do one topic and we pass it around to all the Toddcast crew. But this time, like we did that last time, we're going to have multiple topics and things, because obviously we can't just go through one and be done with it. But see, here's the cards. So we're going to be drawing from this deck here shortly. But before we do that, give me a sec here so I can alert everybody on social media that we are live. Again, when it comes to the actual work of the show, of all of our shows, whether it be the Smokin Hot Toddcast or any of the YouTube shows, I'm on my own. I do all of this by myself, and so as much as I do enjoy, and I mean, it's a joy to do it. I love doing this. Otherwise, I wouldn't make this commitment as much as I normally do. But because I am on my own, obviously, I have to take care of these things by myself, because I don't have anyone else to help. Everyone that helps me on this show helps me by being on the show and just being awesome for being a part of the Smokin Hot Toddcast or any of the things that we do on YouTube. So high praise to all of them, and I thank them for that. But I told everybody, like I said, that take a break tonight. I will handle this. We'll just. This is kind of a throw-in episode. It's gonna be a fun episode. I'm not just gonna be like, this is a piece of shit episode. Don't even do. No, this is gonna be an interesting episode. It's gonna be fun. Fun for me, anyway. Hopefully, it'll be fun for you as well. And it's something to do. It's not the best replacement for what we had planned originally, because we had a big thing planned. It was going to be, everybody was going to be here. We were even going to have some special guests that were going to join us, people who are not a part of the Toddcast. We're actually going to get to be there as well, and they were going to experience this for the first time. But unfortunately, as it turned out, we could not do that. So this is the next best thing. We're gonna persevere and do the thing. But like I said, before we do anything, I've got to get this out on social media. Oh, I was gonna have this ready. I was gonna have the verbiage ready, so I wouldn't have to sit here and think of what to say. All right, we are live once again on YouTube, but. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So this, I think this sounds good. Let's see what it. Let's see. We are live once again on YouTube. But what is? Oh, hang on. What is this emergency special live episode of the Toddcast about? Find out as we choose from the deck on another special live episode of the Smokin Hot Toddcast. I think that's a good way to go there. So I'm going to go ahead and post that. It's interesting because we haven't been live since I think the end of August, but the last regular episode of the podcast was last week, and some weird things have happened since the last time I was here with you guys. Last Saturday night, not last night, but the last Saturday, I was playing with Teebs the cat. I was playing with my cat, Teebs the cat, and she wanted me. She had to have been a dog in her past life. She just had to be. I mean, there's no other way around it. She had to have been a dog in her past life, because what she wants to do, as a cat, obviously she doesn't like the same type of toys that dogs would like. She likes hair ties. She likes those kinds of things, and also and that's her favorite toy. But in this case, it was a piece of a gel insert that I bought for a shoe. That's right. You know how you get the gel insert, but you got to cut off the tip so it matches your foot size. Well, that's what I did. Well, we had cut them out, and before we could even throw them away, Teebs the cat comes and grabs one and runs away with it. And we always know when she's done playing with something because she puts it in or near her food bowl. And it had been near her food bowl for a couple of days at that point. But then she was like, okay, I'm ready to play. And she brought it out to me. And I was like, and I was sitting in a chair. And I was like, oh, okay, Teebs. So but she dropped it just out of reach from me. So I was trying to be smooth here. And I was just trying to see if I could grab it without having to get out of my seat. And I slid out of the chair, and I caught myself on the ground, on the floor. But most of the pressure was on my thumb. And so within seconds, my thumb just folded underneath me. And the pain, let me tell you, when I tell you pain was some of the most intense I've ever had. Like, I was convinced I broke my thumb because I felt nauseous. I thought I was going to throw up. Like, it was bad. I thought this was it. I thought I'd finally broken a bone for the first time in my life. I was like, this is it. This is horrible. And then, as it turns out, it didn't. Because immediately, whenever I do something, because I've done some stupid shit like this before, but anytime that happens, I immediately start moving the appendages to make sure that I didn't actually break it. And sure enough, I was able to move it. So I didn't break it. But it hurt like a son of a bitch. So I woke up Miss Pingrino. She was asleep. I was like, Miss Pingrino, what happened to my hand? She's like, you've sprained it. You've sprained it really bad. And sure enough, for the next few days, I mean, my thumb was in pain. It still hurts. It still hurts to like pick up heavy things with this hand. But I mean, it's definitely a lot better than it was a week ago. But this whole section was completely bruised. It was just black for a few days, and it was bad. It was a bad experience, and I don't want to go through it again. And to add insult to injury, I did that on Saturday. On Tuesday morning, I woke up sick as a dog, and I thought, great, I probably got COVID again. Luckily it was just like a 24-hour bug. It was affected my sinuses, but I got through it. It was fine, no big deal. But yeah, so I've been through the ringer the last few days, so it's nice to just sit down with you and share some fun stuff, do some fun stuff with you. So thank you for being here. Give me a sec here. Let me take a sip. All right. So, this episode, it's called From the Deck. And I am going to draw topics here from the deck of cards. And I'm going to answer whatever it says. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, we're in the media room. You can't, this is a shot of the media room you don't normally see. Because it's near the window. But this is like my desk here in the media room I'm sitting at. This is my cozy chair. Behind me, of course, is the Toddcast 10-year banner, but behind those, you may have noticed there's Mystery Science Theater posters there. It's kind of hard to tell because they're covered up right now. But yeah, this is the media room. Back over here is... oh, that felt good. Over here, sorry, are some of the angles that you see when we do Get Real and anything else that we do in here. But yeah, so we're in the media room. I don't know if that matters to you, but I just wanted to put it out there. But all right, enough stalling. Let's get into this episode of the Smokin Hot Toddcast Live From the Deck, Episode 5. All right, so here we go. First topic is... Desert Island. Books, music, and movies. Now that... Basically, if you were stuck on a desert island, what book, music, movies would you want? And that is tough. That's really tough. I guess if you're going to go with books, I would probably go with my favorite book series, and that is the Shara family Civil War novels. I'm a big Civil War buff. I'm a huge history buff, and I think I've talked about that before. But anyway, and my big focus is the Civil War. I find it fascinating. And Michael Shara wrote the novel The Killer Angels, which eventually was adapted into Gettysburg, the film Gettysburg. His son then wrote a prequel and a sequel to Gettysburg. The prequel being Gods and Generals, and the sequel was The Last Full Measure. Talked about the last half of the Civil War. Gods and Generals talks about the first half of the Civil War. So if I had books that I wanted to bring with me, I love that series of novels. So I would bring the Shara family Civil War novels with me. So that's, again, in chronological order: Gods and Generals, Killer Angels, and The Last Full Measure. Good books, really, really good books. Music. It doesn't specify how much music I can bring, because I have a wide array of favorite musicians that I enjoy. I worked in radio for a long time, so I have a lot of favorites. But I guess if we were just going down my all-time favorites, I guess it would probably, again, it doesn't say how much music. Do we say one album? I don't know. Let's just keep it easy. Let's say music in general. The music of Dave Matthews Band, Elton John, Huey Lewis and the News, and Phil Collins. That's it. That's all I would need. Their albums, and I would be fine. They are my favorite musicians, and they're not the only ones that I love. I mean, I have, again, my taste in music spreads like butter because of my years in radio. I learned to love a lot of different types of music, but those are my favorite artists. So if you're going to back me into a corner and say, whose music would you take with you? Definitely it would be Elton John, Dave Matthews, Huey Lewis, and Phil Collins, as they are my all-time favorite musicians. They are the Elton, Huey, and Phil were all musicians that I grew up listening to in my household because they were some of my parents' favorite musicians, and that tends to happen a lot. You tend to end up, loving a lot of the same musicians that your parents love. And it wasn't like it was forced upon me. I just listened to the music and fell in love. The first time I heard Elton John was the Lion King soundtrack when I was like 5 years old, and I loved it, and I listened to it all the time. And then a couple of years later, I had the opportunity. We went to go see Elton perform live here in Knoxville, and it was an amazing concert, and I loved it. And then my parents were like, okay, we need to get him some more Elton music. So they got me like his greatest hits albums, and the rest, as they say, is history. I loved those albums. And same for Huey Lewis. I heard one of his albums once, and I was like, I got to hear the rest of them. Now, the Dave Matthews Band, that was actually like one of the first bands that I ever got into on my own. I had always enjoyed their music. I'd seen them perform on Saturday Night Live a lot. Their songs "Too Much" and "Ants Marching," I think, were like two songs that I loved. That at the time they weren't like my favorite songs because I only knew a little bit about. But like, I knew of them and I loved their music. The album that did it for me was "Every Day," the Everyday album, and the song "I Did It." That was the song that did it. See what I did there? For me, and that's when I ended up buying their entire album catalog up to that point, and I've been following them ever since. That was like 2001. So it's just that's the story. I love all types of different music, but those were the musicians that would probably go with me to a desert island. Now here comes the super hard question. What movies would I bring? Well, we host a movie review show because I'm obsessed with film. I love movies. I have an entire list. It's like a 4 or 5 page list of all time favorite movies that I have. So it's hard to pinpoint what movies I would want to take to a desert island. I guess you would have to narrow it down, I suppose, but if we're gonna, oh man, this is tough as shit. I would say the movies that I would want the most with me is the original Star Wars trilogy and the original Indiana Jones trilogy. Those are like my two all-time favorite, trilogies, and they're like two of my all-time favorite franchises. Specifically, the original trilogy of Star Wars and the original trilogy of Indiana Jones. We could go. This isn't Get Real, but I mean, I could go on for the rest of this episode talking about how much I enjoy the first 3 movies of Indiana Jones and how Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it's not great. It has many flaws. It annoys me in a lot of different ways, but I like it. It's a guilty pleasure. I enjoy Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's not a movie that I hate. There's very few movies that I just absolutely despise, and Crystal Skull is not one of them. I liked it. I actually liked it more than Dial of Destiny. Dial of Destiny, the last indie movie, it was fine. It just, you could tell that it was time to stop after Dial of Destiny. That was the end point. Don't do anymore. But it was fine, and so was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But and the same for Star Wars. Like I liked the prequels when I was growing up, and then when I became an adult and started studying more about film and everything, I looked back at them. Those weren't great. Those weren't really great. So I'm like, the original trilogy all the way. Then the sequel trilogy came out, and I'm like, these are even worse than the prequels. And I still said original trilogy all the way. But then as time has gone on, my views have softened a little bit on definitely the prequels. I've gained a lot of new respect for the prequels. The sequel trilogy, Force Awakens was great. Last Jedi was all right, and then I hate Rise of Skywalker. Well, I don't hate it. Again, there's only a few movies in the world that I despise. I don't despise Rise of Skywalker, but I'm not a fan. It's not a great film. Rogue One's pretty good. It's a little I'd say it's a lot fan service-y, but it's still fun. It's still a good movie. So But I'm rambling on here. If I had to, you had to pinpoint me down, what movies would I take? Original Star Wars trilogy, original Indiana Jones trilogy. So, really comes down to trilogies with me. You got the Shara family Civil War novels for books. Dave, Elton, Huey, and Phil for music, and then original Star Wars and original Indiana Jones. There you go. That's what I would take with me onto a desert island. All right, now next topic. That is share a money saving tip. Share a money saving tip. Don't buy anything ever. The more you know. I mean, seriously, in this day and age, you really can't buy anything because you'd be broke if you buy anything. Water break again, excuse me. If you're listening to this on the podcast version, I just now realized if you're listening to this on the podcast version, it may just be dead silent there, or you may hear this weird sound. That is, don't get your mind out of the gutter. It's nothing like that. I'm drinking water. I have a big thing of water here, and I'm enjoying it. Okay. No, share a money saving tip. It's hard to do that these days because everything is expensive, but you have to buy things to survive. So, like, what do you do? Because it is your money. At the end of the day, it's your money. So, who am I, some middle-aged schlub on YouTube and on podcast sites telling you not to buy something because I'm bad to buy this room is the perfect example of someone who could not give good money saving tips. Okay, we have a media room for a reason, and that's because I have bought so many different things from so many different forms of media that it took up an entire room. So it's hard to give a money saving tip for what to do or what not to do. I guess would just don't live outside your means. And I'm not talking about don't go to Starbucks or some stupid crap that boomers would tell you. No, you go to Starbucks, get your coffee, get the avocado toast. It's fine. It's not what everybody says it is. Get what you enjoy, but don't live above your means. Like if it's time to get a new car, get a car that's reasonable. Don't get the car that's expensive, that's insanely expensive, that would drain your bank account, that you can never keep up with the payments on. Don't do that. If you can't afford to live in a house, don't buy a house. Or if a house is less expensive than renting, then get the house or rent a house. I mean, that's what we're doing now. We used to be apartment dwellers, but now we had a friend who was moving into a bigger house, and he was like, "Hey, I'm renting my house. You want to live in it?" We were like, "Hell yeah!" And it's either cheaper it's at times cheaper, or at least levels right up to what we would have paid living in an apartment. So it's incredibly worth it to have our own space away from that. So just don't live above your means. Just take it easy, do what you need to do, but don't go crazy. And again, I don't care. Don't listen to the pundits. No, buying Starbucks is not making you poor. Getting avocado toast is not making you poor. Just don't live above your means. Don't get crazy things that you don't need, and bankrupt yourself. Now, again, I buy crazy things that I don't need, but I don't bankrupt myself. I always keep myself in check. So I buy fun things at a reasonable level, and then save my money for important things, or just save it. But yeah, just don't live above your means. Live your life normal, do your thing, and then just go from there. All right, next topic. Share your favorite online influencer. Well, influencer is a weird word because I don't think I'm a fan of any influencers per se. When I think of the word influencer, online influencer, I think if you're like Mr. Beasts, or I guess maybe Markiplier would be one. If I had to say influencer. Maybe I know I don't think he would be considered an influencer. I was gonna say Cinnamon Toast Ken, but I don't really see him as an influencer. I guess maybe Moist Critical Charlie. I think I guess he's an influencer, even though he's kind of like the anti-influencer. He kind of says don't do what influencers tell you, but that's being an influencer. When you tell people don't do something, that's you're still influencing them to do something, and not that is to not do something. So I guess it would be Moist Critical. He's my favorite. If you took the word influencer out and just said who's your favorite like online presence, who's your favorite person on YouTube or group on YouTube, that would be Red Letter Media. Always has been. Well, has been for a number of years, over a decade. Uh, 2015, 2016 is when I really started to get into YouTube, other than just like finding videos of people falling down see on just things that make you laugh. You got TikTok for that now. So YouTube over the last decade or so has become like an actual TV network basically, and it's your own personal TV network. I mean, here we are, we're doing our own show right now, and so I guess I lost my train of thought. No. So who's my favorite person on YouTube? It's Red Letter Media. They are a huge influence on me and a lot of the work that I do. A lot of the things that we do here on the Toddcast is influenced by them, especially when we do live episodes where we watch bad movies. A lot of the bad movies that we do on the show that we watch are movies that they've watched, and I've gotten like super curious. I'm like, I want to know. I want to watch this movie. I want to watch it all the way through and see what actually happens in the movie, and go through the whole rigmarole. And then I get it, and sometimes I'm glad I did it, and sometimes I really regret it and wish I hadn't have done it. And I think Miss Pingrino and especially Miranda would tell you the same. They really regret that I did it, but it's fine. We get through it. But then they also inspired Get Real, because they have their movie review shows. Their whole channel is a movie review channel. They have Half in the Bag, which is where they review the latest movie that's come out. We'll go to review next. Review is where they talk about and review some of the greatest movies ever made, some of their all-time favorite movies. And then there's Best of the Worst, which is probably the most popular show on their channel. It's where they gather together and watch 3 B movies, discuss them, and decide at the end of the episode which one is best of the worst. And so when I made Get Real was kind of a little bit of all of that. It basically, we would just review whatever. When I first started, it was during the pandemic, so I reviewed movies that I had watched in the past, and talked about those. And then once the pandemic started to thin out and movies started coming out again, we started watching new movies and reviewing them. And then I'll review classic movies as well, movies that are my favorites that I would like to talk about, haven't talked about, and then just go on from there. And then we also have the TV edition of Get Real, where we talk about TV shows that we like, and then the exclusives at Get Real, where we talk about directors that I really like, so on and so forth. But yeah, Red Letter Media has really influenced a lot of what I do. Really, the whole channel, the Superfuzz channel, because they have different shows that they do, different things, and do whatever they want on those shows. And I was like, well, we could do the same thing. Let's take the stuff that we like to do and turn them into shows. And so that's what we did with that. So there you go. So I would say Red Letter Media. They are, I think, a huge presence. Some of my other favorites, I mentioned him before: Cinnamon Toast Ken, Moist Critical, Queso. He's a hilarious gamer. If you've never watched him, I highly recommend Queso. Good Mythical Morning, another fun group. Watcher, the guys formerly from BuzzFeed Unsolved. We poked fun out of them, I think, last year when they made a weird career move, but we still love them. Their show, Ghost Files, Mystery Files, great stuff. So I have a lot of favorites, but I think if you were going to narrow it down to just one, it's Red Letter Media, because they had the most influence on what we do here on this channel and the podcast as well. So there you go. All right, it's time for another topic, and the next topic is share the craziest thing that's ever happened to you. The craziest thing that's ever happened to you. Gosh. I don't. That's a damn good question because there's there's nothing that I would like pinpoint and call it the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. It's just a lot of dumb things that's happened to me in the past. There's like, so it's just like whatever happens. It's just kind of like I don't know. This happened once, and I don't know where to go from there. So I don't know. I guess. Well, like last week when I almost broke my thumb over just sitting down on the floor. That I think that was pretty crazy. Um, yeah, I don't really know. I guess maybe the thing that happened to me in 2017. We based a sketch around it. Uh, it was the first episode of season 4, I believe. It was in 2017, and it was the episode where we introduced Miranda. Spoilers if you've never seen this episode, or listened to this episode rather, on the Toddcast. We were at the end of the summer. At the end of the previous season, Ollie, Da, and Orson Welles get invited to a party, and as it turns out, they're kidnapped by a kidnapper. Um, and then at the premiere of the next season, we're trying to bargain with the kidnapper to get them back, and we eventually do get them back, so on and so forth. And we find out, oh, this was a publicity stunt. It wasn't a kidnapping, and it was Miranda. It was our new friend Miranda who's joining the show, and that was the whole thing. But the bargaining and all the stuff that we did with her, there's this one scene where she's trying to get me to send her money, and she's like, if you don't send me $5,000, I will put an end to them. I'm like, well, I don't have $5,000. Like, what do you got? I got maybe $1,000. All right, send me $1,000. I'm like, no, I don't, maybe $50. All right, send me $50. No, maybe $20. Okay, send me $20. And it went on and on like that. It was funny, but or funny at the time. I don't know. But anyway, that was based on something that happened to me that summer. Somebody reached out to me on Facebook and was just chatting with me. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And what they did was they hacked, while they were talking with me, they hacked my computer and took a picture of me and photoshopped it onto a guy whose male appendage was out. His ding-a-ling was out. So it made it look like I was taking perverted pictures. And the threat at that point was, look, if you don't pay me some money, I am going to release these photos of you to the world. I'm going to send them to your job. I'm going to send them to your family. And at that point, I was just having fun with it. I was like, this is hilarious. But she was like, the person was like, yeah, send me this amount of money, and we won't have a problem. I'm like, well, I don't have that money. Well, all right, send me this amount of money. I'm like, well, I don't have that amount of money. Okay, send me this money. How about I send you $20? And then they would come back with, do you think this is a game? Do you think that I'm playing with you? No, this is real. This is real. I can end your life right now. I can end everything about you right now. So you better take this seriously and blah, 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 blah. So it was. So I had fun for a while, and then I eventually blocked them. But that person did try to friend some of my relatives on Facebook, trying to do that. But I just told them, look, if you get that, just ignore it. And they did. And eventually the person went away. But, like that, I think that was probably the craziest thing that ever happened to me was I got, and it wasn't anything by my doing. The only stupid thing that I did was I talked to a stranger. That's, we grew up being told, don't talk to strangers. And that was the first thing I did that day, was I talked to a stranger. But yeah, it was weird. I don't know, it wasn't like a weird conversation. It was just like, hi, hello, how are you? And in the meantime, they hacked my computer, took a picture of me, and did all this crap. And it was from that point forward, I was like, okay, well, I will never just talk to random people on Facebook again unless I know them. And so that's kind of a creed that I've held on with for the most part. There are times when I'll get a friend request from what's clearly a bot, and then I'll add them, and then I'll just start talking some mad shit, just gibberish to them, and even they get confused and eventually block me, and so it's just fun. it's good, clean fun. But that's the only thing I can think of, like the weirdest thing that happened to me, because I'm pretty boring. I'm pretty boring. So we'll leave it at that. I guess that's the craziest thing I can think of. Next topic: questions I would ask a famous person on our show, on the podcast. Well, we've had celebrities on our show many times in the past, and listen to me, many times. No, we've had some really cool celebrities, some cool people on the show, and we've asked them some good questions. I don't really know what I would ask unless I knew who the person was. It would depend solely on who that person is, and then I would make a decision at that point. Who are you? What do you want? What is this? I guess, if it was, well, if it was the president of the United States, the current president, I have a lot of questions to ask him, like what's wrong with you? What's going on? Oh, well, actually, I should watch myself. We could be taken off the air. He'll come after YouTube. Hey, take him off. He's bad. He's bad news. He's got no ratings. He's lame. Take him off. I don't want to go through that. So yeah, I don't. I don't want us to be taken off the air. That's a whole thing, by the way. Poor Jimmy Kimmel. Poor Stephen Colbert. I just this whole situation is so bizarre. I don't understand that at all. I do understand, because and I do agree with, if you say something that is that rocks the boat and is somewhat offensive, yes, that is free speech, but it is not freedom of consequence. And so yes, if you're involved with a business who no longer wants to be associated with you because of something you said, yes, they have every right to let you go. That being said, Jimmy Kimmel did not really say anything. If I'm, and again, this is just my understanding, I don't think he said anything bad. I think he was just assuming something, and he was putting it out there as his opinion, and somebody didn't like it and told somebody else that he doesn't need to be on the air anymore, and so that's what happens. And so that's different than saying something that someone doesn't like and then letting you go because of it. That's a whole different ballgame. But yeah, so that's a whole thing. But yeah, no. In terms of what would I ask a celebrity, again, it would just be entirely it would be entirely based on who the celebrity is. I would, there's things obviously I'd like to know, but it just depends on who they are and what I know about them. So simple as that. So I really don't have an answer for that. It just depends on who it is, and at that point I would go from there. So there you have it. All right, so we've already gone through 5 here. I feel like that's a pretty decent number, but maybe we got a few more minutes here. There is no time limit for the Toddcast, but maybe we can stretch this out a little longer and do one more. Let's do one more. Share your morning/nightly routine. Well, okay. We'll start with the morning. The morning I wake up, hey, put on makeup. Okay, that's fine. We're done with that. No, so this isn't my regular job. This, for those of you who don't know, the Smokin Hot Toddcast, everything we do on YouTube, all of that good stuff, is for fun. We don't actually get paid to do this. This is just something. This is a passion of mine. I always say, once you get broadcasting in your blood, it's extremely hard to get it out of your blood, and so that's kind of been my thing. I love broadcasting so much, even if I'm not doing it in radio. I like doing it on my own. So that's why I do it. But we don't get paid to do it. It's all just for fun. So I have a regular, daily job. It's a job that I absolutely love. I don't want to get into it because I don't want to talk about my job here online. But I love my job. But I wake up every morning, 6:30 in the morning. I wake up and I contemplate life, because I usually never get enough sleep no matter what time I go to bed. Once I've done contemplating life, I then will wake up, get out of bed, and immediately go take a shower. And then after I'm done with that, brush my teeth, whatever, put my clothes on, may have to iron. It just depends on what the outfit looks like. Then I go and I greet Teebs the cat, who meows at me because she wants her treats. She has morning treats that we give her, and so I pour out her treats into her bowl. And depending on what's going on that day, if I just want to buy my lunch, I'll do that. Or if maybe we have like a food truck or something going on at work. But if none of that's happening and I just, I don't want to spend money, I'll make my own lunch, which usually consists of, and again, this is how boring I am, consists of a cheese sandwich. Not grilled cheese, not cheese and some sort of meat, just cheese. I like cheese sandwiches. I do. I'm weird that way. I like cheese sandwiches and Cheetos. I usually will bring Cheetos. I'm obsessed with those. Cheetos sponsor us. But yeah, that's usually what I take, and a couple of apples. That's my lunch. But sometimes, because Mr. Krabs from the show here, he actually runs his own meal prep business, and so he'll at times make me some chicken salad or some pasta or something, and that's awesome. And I'll take that with me if I have that. If not, it's the cheese sandwich. But so it's a little bit of a variety. But anyway, so I get my lunch together, get my computer, get all my stuff, get it all together, and then I'm out the door. I'm usually out the door by 7 o'clock, 7:05-ish, I think, 7:05. And I don't have to be at work until 8. And it's only a 25-minute drive, if even that, probably more like 20 minutes drive from my house to my job. But if you know anything about Knoxville traffic, it's horrendous. So it usually takes me the entire hour from 7 to 8 to get to my job. And so I just, trudge along and get through all the traffic and whatnot and take care of all that. And then, I get there and I go to work and I do my thing. And then as for a nightly routine, it depends on how far you want to go with my nightly routine. Do you want me to talk about, what I do in the evening as well as the night? Because in terms of nightly routine, I don't have a nightly routine. I go to, when I get home from work, I usually take a nap, and then we'll have dinner, and then we'll watch TV or, record a video or record some stuff for the podcast, whatever needs to be done at that time. And then when it's time for bed, usually around like 10, 11 o'clock, I go in to the bedroom and I brush my teeth, I put my pajamas on, and I fill up my CPAP. That's right. I sleep with the CPAP machine. So you always have to keep water in the reservoir for it to run correctly. So I have to fill that up, put it in, and then set my alarm clock, put my watch on, put my phone in its charger, put my watch on its charger, and then curl up and go to sleep. Make sure my alarm is set for 6 a.m. so we can do it all over again the next day. Then I put my Darth Vader mask on and fall asleep. That's my nightly routine. My morning routine is more interesting than my nightly routine. Not by much, but it is. But yeah, that's my day. And then on the weekends, I wake up at like 8 o'clock, 8:30, and then I just get up. And then I go in. Same thing, I greet Teebs the cat, give her treats, I eat my breakfast. That's another thing I didn't mention. I usually will... Miss Pingrino likes to make muffins, so I'll eat a couple of muffins and a Prime energy drink, 0 sugar Prime energy drink. Prime sponsor us. God, those are good. They're so good. They destroy me throughout the day because it gives you all the caffeine, and when you have a caffeine drop, it plummets. But it's fine. It's good. But yeah, so the weekends I just do that without all the other stuff. So that's my routine. That's my life. It's pretty normal, pretty average. It's not anything exciting. It's just the way it is. It's just life. It's just regular life, and we all go through it. But there you have it. Those are some of the topics from Poddex. Poddex, you are a fantastic group of people. Thank you for these amazing podcast episode topic ideas, because they make episodes like this a lot of fun. So there you have it, another episode of From the Deck, and that was episode 5 of From the Deck. So there you go. But yeah, so there you have it. We are done with this special live episode of the Smokin Hot Toddcast. Thank you all. I saw some people in and out. Thank you all for tuning in. And if you're listening to this on the podcast version of it, thank you for listening. Again, this was not what we had planned originally, but circumstances as they were, we cannot carry on with the show that we had originally planned last night. And so I want to thank you all for being understanding. And for those of you who reached out and asked to make sure everything was okay, I personally, if you have my phone number and you did that and you asked me, I personally told you the reason. And thank you for being so supportive. Because it was very unexpected what happened, but we will review. Listen to me, we will not review the movie that we were going to watch last night. Hell no, but we will watch that movie eventually. That'll be in a later episode of the Toddcast. But yeah, that's going to do it for us for now. We're going to take a couple weeks off, and we will be back on October 9th with an all new episode of the Smokin Hot Toddcast. That'll be a regular podcast episode. The next live episode will be coming up, and let me get the calendar up here. That'll be on. I'm aiming for this isn't carved into stone, but we'll talk more about it as we get closer. The next live episode of the Toddcast should be on Friday, October 24th. That'll be our Scare-tastic Halloween special, one of our favorite episodes to do of the year. So we're aiming, like I said, for Friday the 24th for that. So be on the lookout. Regardless, though, the next regular episode of the show will be on Thursday, October 9th. So be on the lookout for that. And with that in mind, thank you so much for joining me on this strange episode. And we'll hopefully see you again soon. Until next time, this is Hot Toddy. Goodbye, everybody.